and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters most to you, the entrepreneur, and in year 8, we're taking head-on two of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On the show tonight, we're bringing you highlights of a panel discussion that we did in Mangaluru, talking about why that city is the perfect case study for skill development. My colleague Pooja Jain caught up with the biggest experts from across the state and the city to interact face-to-face with you, the entrepreneur. Listen in to some key highlights of that event.
Mangalore has long enjoyed a reputation as a provider of skilled manpower, highly educated manpower to seemingly everyone everywhere, from Mumbai to the Middle East. Why so? Why Mangalore? Where does this stem from?
Thank you, Pooja. I think Mangalore's greatest advantage, which it still retains, is the foundation. You see, if you provide skill, if you provide anything to anybody, your foundation should be strong. And Mangalore's foundation probably is, I would say, the best in Karnataka. Bangalore is close with science and technology, but we have such a huge amount of learning, education institutions. Basically, it automatically creates skill. So when your foundation is top class, you end up getting a lot of results there.
Well, Ajit, weaving you into the conversation here, Joseph has just talked about this strong foundation, but I'd like to break it down one notch further. So is this strong foundation anchored to a highly diversified economy? Between shipbuilding on the one hand, special economic zones on the other, you've got processing factories, you've got petrochemicals. Mangalore seems to be home to it all. Does this work to the city's benefit or to its detriment?
The whole point started because of the tile industry, which was here since long, as well as the BD industry. So everybody was an entrepreneur at their home. So entrepreneurship has been in the blood. It's in the DNA of every Mangalorean. So that has taken them to the next level.
Well, Sunil, let's bring your opinion into this conversation. So there is a highly diversified economy. Does that naturally breed entrepreneurship, or does that put the city at the risk of becoming, a jack of all trades, so to speak, and then you don't become a hub or specialized in any one sector in particular to build a competitive advantage?
Yeah, I think, let me answer it this way, that there are many gaps all across. But then there are pockets in this country, who are pretty, let's say, advanced in terms of understanding, be it BFSI, be it IT, be it, retail, be it oil, be it, shipping, be it mining, and more so because of the education hub around here. Whatever are the gaps getting identified automatically moves into such towns, and in fact, not only Mangalore, but there are many clusters across the world. But from that standpoint, this itself, then almost challenges to such people who are there in this kind of place. Who, and my friend just said, if the entrepreneurship is right in their DNA, so they will spot it out first and then try to, work out the solutions which could be global in nature. But
doctor, in the same breath, isn't Mangalore also to some extent a victim of a brain drain?
The very core of this district started with this. If at all the people of this district has to improve, the financial institutions has to be there, the health industry has to be there, the educational institutions have to be there. If these three comes in, the rest of things will follow. So these things, the founding fathers probably about 60, 80 years, if you look at this district, has probably, no other district has got 5 large banks coming out of a district. That laid a solid foundation for the growth of this city.
Perhaps, though there may be a desire to stay in this city, perhaps there's just an awareness issue in terms of, for example, if there's a promising entrepreneur in this audience and they need incubation support, they need mentorship, they're looking for funding, they're looking for strategic input on their business model, who do you suggest they approach? What sort of setup does Mangalore have to offer, and what are the industry bodies that represent their voice?
Actually, to be honest with you, today, the whole kind of ecosphere has changed. And it's become very positive because after the Startup India initiative, there are amazing initiatives available. I know because I'm part of it. And almost every day we get mails. every day. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've never seen it anywhere in the world. I've never heard of it. Other countries have smaller startup systems. So what they do is that they basically have more personalized interaction. In a country like ours, which has 1 billion people and the second startup, I think 35,000 companies in startup. Startup India basically is not too difficult to get kind of shortlisted for. They shortlist about 40% of the companies. And you don't actually have to go to a Bangalore or a Bombay or a Delhi to kind of get funded or so on and so forth. You can sit in Bangalore and you get, if you're part of Startup India, NASSCOM has them. There are a lot of initiatives. I think CII also has them, Ajay knows. But if you're part of these initiatives, you get everyday mails saying apply for this thing. You even get mails apart from companies like Cisco, Infosys, Wipro. You also get mails basically for countries. Because even countries from districts in Europe like Bavaria are desperate for startups. So you actually can sit in Bangalore and be a success.
I would like to add
Please,
I would like to add one point here. When you said about incubation and other stuff, today a lot of engineering colleges are offering incubation centers here at almost no cost. Some of them, they are only looking at, can you give our students some exposure? We want some internship to be done in Bangalore. Now all these students have to go to Bangalore just for 3 months internship. Now companies can be here, have their incubation center here. You can probably have a nice startup idea and you can get resources as interns from college directly. You can have your incubation office inside the college.
Fantastic ideas there. Please, sir.
I'd just like to add an aspect here. The Vadwani Foundation. We are a philanthropic organization, and one of the biggest two clear verticals are how do we motivate a student in college to think about entrepreneurship if he or she has that acumen in them. Second part is, if somebody has set up the business, how do you make them grow at a 5x or a 10x scale? So these are the two areas which we do completely philanthropic in 19 countries.
That is just phenomenal. I mean, entrepreneurship being nurtured in elementary school. That is not something we've seen here as yet, but I hope to see much more of it in the future. Well, let's talk about the small, medium and large organizations as you just touched on. So many MNCs have decided to set up sizable development centers and, a significant presence in Bangalore. And in this audience and amongst some of you, we of course have a lot of smaller technology enabled companies, SMEs, startups. So, with so many MNCs coming into this city, does that create opportunities for technology-based SMEs, or does that pose a threat to them?
I don't see it as a threat, because an MSC, when it comes into a place like Bangalore, will basically look at certain number of skills. Now, either the local companies have two choices. Either they kind of work with the MNC to provide that skilling, but if it's a development center, they can't do that because they have their own thing. So they have to basically try and connect to the ecosystem. And to give them kind of credit, a lot of the MNCs today look at startups as a kind of reserve bank, not of India, of Bangalore. So because basically they say, okay, these guys have got some stuff which could help me. So even say an IBM or an Infosys, when they are very, very open today to see a startup which has some technology which they can kind of work with them, maybe even acquire them. Every single MNC has got a fund today. So actually it's a great opportunity for the startup. The problem is if he's doing mundane stuff. But many startups, in that case, then he already knows that the Bangalore market is small for him. He has to look at a Bangalore, and which is why you have to kind of look at outside clients, Bangalore clients, which they do anyhow. So actually an opportunity, and whether the startups are using it or not is definitely an opportunity.
Doctor, do you agree with this point of view? And, if so, what are some of the untapped industries that Bangalorean entrepreneurs and startups can better take advantage of? How do they leverage location to their advantage?
Though I stay in Bangalore, without telling anything about Bangalore, I said probably Bangalore is a disadvantage for most of the districts in Karnataka. If you look at it, you're in a place like Mysore, which is very, very closely connected to Bangalore. Industries do not flourish very well because everybody feels the opportunity lies in Bangalore. Probably people from other countries feel they have to set up everything in Bangalore. I don't know whether it is positive, it is negative, whether the spin-off effect will come into other districts. Everybody is waiting for the spin-off effect. But it is not happening. Everybody wants, whether it is Bangalore, whether or it is the connectivity to the global markets? Is it the everybody from the country lands up in Bangalore with their talent, which is actually making Bangalore very easy? But in a way, it is stifling the growth of a lot of other districts.
Mohammed, there's a lot of talk about a government push to make Mangalore an animation hub in particular. So which could certainly shape the dynamics of the local tech ecosystem. So, your thoughts on whether you're feeling the impact of that transformation, or is that largely headlines and talk?
I think a lot of groundwork has to happen there. Certainly, there is enough potential. I would not say that we do not have potential. Today, in the kind of industry that we are working, software or maybe animation, you can work remotely. You don't have to be there, do that stuff, right? You can do it remotely, and today infra is not a problem. You have connectivity everywhere, and all things has improved. Devices have become cheap. Knowledge is available on YouTube. It's available free. So it's all there, but the groundwork is like what you are saying to me at the moment. I don't know how much of the crowd knows that there is demand for animation. There's demand for this. So that awareness is not there.
Well, I believe that makes for a wonderful note upon which to wrap our discussion. I have to thank all of our panelists for, really drawing in on their personal and professional anecdotes.
That's our show tonight. If you want to know where we're headed to next when it comes to our 20-city roadshow here on The Leaders of Tomorrow, or you have any feedback on this particular episode, here's how you let us know. Our contact details up on your screens in just a moment. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.